challenge, holding all these things together. This is the original title, but somebody took the liberty of shortening it for the agenda. So yeah, lots of people were born in Laval and became hockey players. I apologize in advance, well, first for my voice, and second for, well, maybe not having quite as much time that I would have liked to prepare this presentation, but I still hope you enjoy it. So I've already talked about Laval being the third city in Quebec. So this one, okay. So this is just to locate where Laval is, and actually I've there we go. So relative to Montreal, so it's very close, as you can see. This is where we are. And so, yeah, so this was brought up by Simon earlier. Laval was named after François de Montmorency-Laval, thus the name of the metro station, Montmorency, but also very often called just François de Laval, or I think Monseigneur de Laval. He was born in 1623, arrived in Quebec at 36 years of age in 1659, after being named Vicar Apostolic of New France, i.e. he was like the religious person in charge of all of New France. So,
you should left or right. Great like this.
So Laval resulted from the merger in 1965 of all of the 14 towns that made up Île Jésus, or Jesus Island. It is, so I've already said it's the third most populous in Quebec. It's the fourth most populous island in Canada after Montreal, Vancouver Island, Newfoundland, of course. So it's separated from Montreal by Rivière des Prairies, which translates as River of the Prairies, but apparently also called Back River, or Scowano, meaning river behind the island by the Mohawk. On the other side, you have Rivière des Mille Îles, or Thousand Island River. It has many islands, but it has nothing to do with Thousand Islands between Ontario and New York State on the St. Lawrence. They're completely different things. Laval is still, surprisingly, at least to me, rural, as you can see from the satellite image. Look at all of that, and even a little bit here, and quite a bit here also. So there's still room for development if that's what they choose to do. So, well, guess what was the first part to be colonized? Well, like most of Canada, it was developed mostly from east to west. So the first settlers arrived in the 17th century. The parish Saint-François-de-Sales was created in 1702, was officialized by the King of France in 1722. So who was the King of France in 1722?
Louis.
Yeah, well, which one? It was Louis XV. Congratulations. Who succeeded Louis XIV, the Sun King. So Louis XV was not the son or the grandson of Louis XIV because they were both dead. So he was the great-grandson of Louis XIV. He became king at the age of 5. So the first 4 towns in Laval were created simultaneously as parishes. So, and yeah, there you go. So those are for the first 4 parishes. Benoit mentioned 5, so maybe I'm missing one. But you got Saint-François-de-Sales, Sainte-Rose-de-Lima, Saint-François-Paul, Saint-Martin. So it's sort of holy land of Quebec. not everybody agreed with the merger, of course. So these are the 14 towns that were merged together, but you'll see this map again. So you got, well, the very first parish that wasn't completely official, and then the black ones were sort of more official than, I guess, yeah, that's the fifth one, depending on your source, I guess. So yeah, not everybody agreed with the merger, and so there were some protests. Then when the 14 towns, and I want to thank Benoit for some of these pictures I'm going to be showing now. When they merged on the 6th of August 1965, the mayor of Chomédé, Jean-Noël Lavoie, was designated as the mayor of Laval, but he was only there temporarily. So this was the city council immediately after the merger, but there was an election, I think, in November. In that election, he was defeated by Jacques Tétrault, who had been the mayor of Pontville. So that was the first council, and this is the person who beat him with a new town or a clean slate. So the SIHR database has, just going to the map there. So you got Saint-François, which was really the beginning of Laval early on. So we'll go through these towns a bit quickly, sorry. The SIHR database has 2 players as listed as being from Saint-François, except that, as you can see, he was born in '83, so he should be listed as being from Laval. Where am I? So Thierry Douville, Marc-André Guérard. Marc-André Guérard, there's not much that's known about him, but we do know, and they call it Saint-François de Laval, which does not exist. I guess they meant to say, well, it's Saint-François in Laval. Marc-André Guérard was the named MVP of the 1993 Waterloo Pee Wee tournament, so congratulations to him. Then I'm trying to go sort of chronologically in terms of when those towns were originally created. So Saint-Vincent-de-Paul was created in 1952, but coming from something that was older. It was separated from what became Duvernay. It had been one of the original 4 parishes on Jesus Island. It did produce 1 player before the 1965 merger. René Lécuyer, who played 1 season in the IHL in 1964-65, mostly with the Dayton Gems. 3 seasons earlier, at around 20, had been captain of the Montreal North Junior Canadiens. So Duvernay came from the parish of Saint-Vincent-de-Paul, so this part here, which in 1952 saw the rural part of the town separate from the village part. So giving the municipality with a strange name of municipality of the parish of Saint-Vincent-de-Paul for the rural part, and the town of Saint-Vincent-de-Paul for the village part. So the rural part was renamed Duvernay in 1957. It did produce a hockey player in our database, goalie Jean-Jacques Le Cavalier, who played 1 season with the Quebec Remparts, 71-72, immediately following the departure of Guy Lafleur. The regular season, he shared duties quite evenly with Robert Lucier. So this is Lucier, and this is Le Cavalier. But in the playoffs, and they actually had very similar records, almost identical records, wins and losses and ties. But Le Cavalier ended up playing in all 15 playoff games, though Lucier played in 2 of the games, so saw a little bit of action. They lost the final to the Cornwall Royals. Le Cavalier was drafted by the Quebec Nordiques in the 1972 general draft. But it was a big draft. He was drafted in around the 60th round, which would make him roughly the 780th player drafted. And there were a lot more rounds. So in 1981, very curiously, in 1981, there was a mention in the press of a Jean-Jacques Le Cavalier with 2 L's in his last, three L, with like a double L here. Being the coach of a junior A team and having been part of the New York Islanders and Hartford Whalers organizations. But I searched for that, I didn't find anything, so I don't know if it's the same person. I don't know if the person even existed. All right. So this is where he was drafted. Well, actually, no, this is alphabetical list, but this is a sort of a part of the draft, the WHA draft. And this is what I found, but I have no idea what that's about. Okay, going back here. Auteuil, here, was originally Sainte-Rose-de-Lima, was one of the original parishes. In 1960, it became the municipality of the parish of Sainte-Rose East. Then the next year, it became Auteuil. No hockey player has come from Auteuil. Sainte-Rose, here, was founded in 1958, and until Laval-des-Rapides was created, here, it was the only urban town on the island. So the SIHR database has one player born in Sainte-Rose, but he was born in 1967, so should have been identified as being from Laval. He did play in the NHL. He was dressed, is this the right one? I hope so. He played for the Canadiens at the beginning of 1989-90 season. He was dressed for the fourth game of the season due to injuries to both Brian Scrudlin and Guy Carbonneau. And stayed a total of 8 games where he got 2 assists and 7 shots on goal. It's not often that you see a player wearing number 9 in this uniform. Of course, it was with the Sherbrooke Canadiens, and not the Montreal team. And this was also when Maurice Richard was still alive, so the rule preventing any hockey player from wearing number 9 in the entire province was not in place yet. So yeah, they needed us. After losing Scrudlin and Carbonneau, they needed a center. Okay. Chomedey, big part here. Chomedey started off as Saint-Martin, one of the 4 original parishes of Jesus Island, created in 1774, officially becoming a municipality in 1855. When the municipal regime of Lower Canada was officially implemented. It was renamed Renault in 1959. In 1961, Renault merged with Laval-born and Cité de Saint-Martin to become Chomedey. It would become a very fast-growing town, increasing its population by an average of 10% every year for its first 4 years. Saint-Martin did not produce any documented hockey players, but Laval-born did. This village was founded in or around 1801 by François Plouffe, who owned a barge that he used to get people across the river at that place, thus the name Laval-born. As mentioned, it was merged in 1959 to Renault. So we have 2 hockey players in the database from Laval-born. So Jean-Guy Lagacé was a defenseman, not very tall for a hockey player, 5'8", who played for the Pittsburgh Penguins in 68-69, 17 games. Then the Buffalo Sabres, 70-71, 3 games. Then back to the Penguins for 2.5 seasons, followed by the Kansas City Scouts for a season and a half till 1976. And then his last stop was the WHA with the Birmingham Bulls in 1976-77. He played a full season with the likes of Mark Napier, Vaclav Negdomensky, Paul Henderson, and Frank Mahovlich. Oh, lucky him. So this is Lagacé. Well, the Laval-born produced another Lagacé. I have no idea if they're related, but the SIHR database doesn't say anything about it, so I'm guessing not. So this one was called Pierre Lagacé. They are almost 13 years apart in age, so they could still be brothers. He played 2 seasons with the WHA Nordiques from 1977 to 1979. Only played 38 games in total, getting 2 goals and 7 points. In 1976, his Quebec Remparts made it to the Memorial Cup tournament, but lost the semifinal 10-3 to New Westminster. There is no hockey player from Chamédé, but then that town existed under that name for only 4 years. So this is from Benoit's website, of course. Now, Vimont, here, was created in 1904 as the municipality of the parish of Saint-Elzéar. It was renamed Vimont in 1962. In the early 60s, it was the town on the Jesus Island with the fastest population growth. No player from Vimont is in the SIHR database. Well, again, it only existed for 3 years under that name. Pont-Vieux became a parish in 1916, municipality in 1926. It was an urban town conveniently placed near a bridge, the Vieux Bridge, of course. So you might have guessed, as a part of the river where Montreal and Laval is only 300 meters wide. No player from Pont-Vieux in the SIHR database. At the end of the 19th century, a village called Parc Laval was created. The arrival of the railroad allowed people to live there and work in Montreal, which was new. This led to quick development and the village became the municipality of Laval-des-Rapides in 1912, and this is actually where we are. We're about here. I had an uncle and his family who lived there, so it's the part of Laval I have been to most often, though the last time I was probably close to 50 years ago. No player in the SIHR from the Laval-des-Rapides. 1914, it created a municipality with a very strange name of Partie Ouest de la Paroisse de Sainte-Rose, or western part of the Sainte Rose parish. It became Fabreville in 1957. And residential development boomed, especially after the Laurentians Highway opened in 1958, which goes across like around here. One player in the database is noted as being from Fabreville, Patrick Labre, but he was born in 1981, so again, he should have been listed really as from Laval. Sainte-Dorothée was created as a municipality in 1869. One of the original, or like the fifth original one. It was and still is an agricultural town. We have 2 players listed from being from Sainte-Dorothée, but again, after 65, actually, it's more than 20 years after that, so they're really from Laval. In 1926, an American company bought agricultural land in the western part of Laval to make it a summer resort called Plage Laval, or Laval Beach. In 1929, the company sold all its property to an association of owners for $1. Well, $1 got you more in those days than now. And so a municipality was born. It became Laval West in 1951. No hockey players from there. Ile Laval is not part of Jesus Island. This is a set of islands, actually separate. The island separated from Sainte-Dorothée in 1941, unhappy with the services offered by the town. They did not want to be part of the 1965 margin, but apparently they were not given a choice. It has a population of about 1,000, and no hockey players comes from there, of course. In 1910, the site of Laval-sur-le-Lac, here, was still mostly in its natural state. A businessman from Montreal bought it and turned it into a resort. And a golf course was opened in 1917 and still exists. With its current population of about 800 people, it's not surprising that no hockey player comes from there either. So other Lavals in the SIHR database, Saint-Brigitte de Laval, that's past Quebec City, so it's even further than Laval University. Lavaltrie is east of Montreal on the north shore of the St. Lawrence, so not the same Laval either. It is where Tony Demers, if anybody remembers Montreal Canadiens, who did jail for killing his girlfriend at the time, that's where he ended his life. And actually, I was in communication with his granddaughter at some point. I showed up at our place. We had an appointment. I was going to show her my research, but her daughter had been taken to the hospital and it never happened. Okay, so we have 516 players in the SIHR database listed having been born in Laval. So 4 of them are, can you guess what? Out of the 516, 4 of them are women. So So, no, I need to come back to that later. Clémence Duménil, so she played with the Aigle Bleu in Moncton. There is, so yeah, she played up until last year. This year she does not, I did not find any team that she's playing on. And then incredibly, out of the four, we have two who played with the Aigle Bleu in Moncton. So this is Marie-Ève Provost. She played for 5 seasons from 2006 to 2011, so it was a longer time ago. She then went on to play 3 full seasons with the Montreal Stars of the Canadian Women's Hockey League, which was the highest level of women's hockey at the time. Then we have Véronique Ouimet, sorry about the quality of the picture, that's all I could find. She played 6 games with the Montreal Stars in 2013-14, also at the top level. And Sophie Lachapelle played 1 game with the Quebec Avalanche of the National Women's Hockey League in the 2003-2004 season, and 8 more games with that team 2 years later. She then went on to play Powerball, which is ball hockey, as I understand, and she has currently been inducted into the Powerball Hall of Fame. So, okay, yeah, not ready for that yet. So, yeah, 16 of the players, and I was talking about my preparation, so as you can tell, my slides are slightly out of order for this next person here. So, yeah, 16 of the players listed as being born in Laval were born before 1965 in the database. So technically their entry is incorrect. They should say where they were specifically. So the oldest of these 16 is the most famous, and I'm going to come back here. This is Théo, or Théophile Viau, born in 1883. He's the son of the founder of the Viau Cookie Company, which is still going strong. He played, so he's actually pretty famous as a hockey player. He played, among others, with the Montreal Shamrocks and the 2 French language hockey teams of the time, the Montagnard and the National. Now, his obituary says that he was born in Montreal, not in Laval, and I have no idea what his mother would have been doing in Laval in those days. So I'm curious actually to try and find a little more about where this information is from. I suspect he was not born in Laval. So one other of the 16 who were born before 1965 identified as being from Laval is a goalie who played 98 games in the WHA with the Cincinnati Stingers, Norm Lapointe. So those are the 2 most famous, and I'll get back to where I was. So, of course, I didn't have all the time in the world to go from A to Z. So I'm just going to mention, and fairly briefly, all the players who are from Laval and who played in the National Hockey League. And I may have a few words about some of them. So they're in a descending order of the number of games they played in the NHL. So this one is a goalie. He played 1 game, he played 3 minutes, but he's possibly the most interesting, or at least one of the top 3 as being the most interesting stories, because he was drafted 15th in the 1998 draft, but the Senators wouldn't pay him what the players before and after him got. They offered him quite a bit less money.